Welcome aboard the BK Escape Pod. That's right, it's the augmented and bionic podcast version of the live show. You can hear Saturdays from 10 a.m. till 12 p.m. Eastern on 100.3 FM and AM 1450 WBHF Radio. You can stream the show live there Saturdays at WBHFradio.org or on the free Tunein app. Look out, here we go.
Stand by to receive our transmission.
Ooh, wow, this the studio seat is a lot warmer than it usually is. I mean, you know, Alan has the show before me here at WBHF, and we just switch chairs. He gets out of this chair and goes over into the other chair and gets the microphone ready. But for some reason this morning, the seat that he was sitting in over here, the broadcast seat, seems a little warmer than it usually is. Did you do something different over here this morning?
Well, I believe I was in the hot seat.
You were in the hot seat. You got kind of hot on your
I figured it's appropriate being in the hot seat. I should probably
talk about that. Speaking of that, should we just go ahead and get that out of the way first thing? That way we can go on with the show.
It depends.
About you being in the hot seat, about the emails I got from last week.
If you want to drag it out at my expense, I know it's a major pastime of yours.
What do you think I'm going to do?
I don't know.
I think I'll drag it out at your expense. Because I'd like to respond to the email I get on the air sometimes because it was kind of fun. Oh, come on. You do stuff so cool sometimes with the the way you do things, and you're the Renaissance man. You cook stuff. You got the big green egg that you make things perfectly all the time.
I do.
You got all the podcasts, all the radio shows.
Well, I don't have all of them.
We got a lot of them.
Got a couple.
Got a lot of them.
More than I had a year ago.
You love doing what you do. Every now and then.
But so do you.
Oh, yeah. I love what you do, too. Yeah, you're right.
You love what I do, too.
Oh, that's not what you meant. Sorry. But, yeah, we were talking last we did sometimes, not every show, but sometimes we do a MeTV quiz, which is fun to do. MeTV, one of the, if not the best classic television websites and networks that are on. You can watch old TV shows, and they have quizzes on there about the old days and things that we like. And we're talking about how 1981 is now 40 years ago. You know,
it's amazing.
1981 to 2021, and they had a quiz that we gave to you last weekend or last show that we did called here's some songs from 1981, the top 10 songs. Yeah, the title of the songs and match the artist to the title. And you had it's always multiple choice A, B, or C, which makes it easier anyway. Some of them you're like, oh, I don't even need the choices on this one. I said, well, let's give the choices because people might be playing along. One of them was, remember the song, it was Keep On Loving You. That's what it was. I'm going to keep on loving you. And as we both know, that's one of the ones you can answer. You're like, oh, that's not one of the ones you couldn't answer.
In my head, I knew REO Speedwagon.
But you answered,
I said
one
Foreigner.
Of your choices was Foreigner. Good thing you didn't pick the third one, because I think the third one was Kim Carnes. That would have been really wrong.
Oh, yeah.
If that would have been the case.
No, I knew it was one of those identical-sounding boy bands of the 80s.
But you yeah, or heavy metal band. You picked Foreigner when the answer was REO Speedwagon.
Right.
And you also stated, well, they both sound alike.
Right.
Both groups sound alike.
What I have to do in my head... And I get it.
This didn't really happen last year, but it's happening now. He's going to say it now. Yeah, okay.
But in my head,
right,
I have to remind myself who goes with which song title, or band title. I have to remind myself. For whatever reason, they cross all the time.
Right. Yeah.
They just do.
Yeah.
I have to stop and go, this is Foreigner. Or this is REO Speedwagon.
Yeah. But at the time, you said,
in my mind,
they both sound alike.
Because in my mind, they're so similar, and they learned them at the same time.
We got 3 calls on the air that disagreed with you on that.
Of course.
Which I thought was cool.
Of course.
Hey, any way to get calls, I'll take it. Even if that's something I did.
Glad to help.
To make calls come in.
I'm glad to do my part.
Is that why you did it? That's really why you did it, right?
No, I wish I could say I had that I was that prescient.
Tell me that.
You know, if I really royally screw this up, it's going to add to the show.
Well, you didn't, and we went down to the classic vinyl shop after the show last weekend.
We did. That was really cool. Talked to Eddie Bruce and his wife. Got a chance to meet his wife.
They sell vinyl records in there, and a lot of other nostalgic stuff in the store, which is like going back in time in there, which is great. He didn't give you too much heck about it, which I thought was. He didn't give you as much as he actually let us come in. But that was nice of him. But I got 3 emails I want to point out that I got because of that. One basically said, Alan just turned 50. Maybe his hearing is going. He needed to get his hearing checked about those 2 groups.
Okay.
That's kind of another one said both sound alike, just like Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin, right?
Which is what you said.
No, I said
you said that
I said
live.
ELO and Queen.
Well, you said something like that.
No, that's not true.
Down at Eddie Bruce's shop, you said that.
Hey,
Led Zeppelin and Pink
the
Floyd.
other one said, if you mean they both sing songs and make music, yeah.
That was Walt.
That was the other one. So
that was Walt.
They were saying the same thing on email. So I just thought that was fun.
If by sound the same, there's a male lead singer, a microphone, and guitars.
And they might use an amp. Yeah, and musical notes. Yeah,
that's right. Spitting image.
That's funny. So thanks for everyone that emailed. Whatever the subject matter, you want to take us to task on something. And believe me, I caught some heck, too, because I got a couple of emails about me saying I didn't like the Grateful Dead. I mean, number one, I caught it from Walt.
Yeah.
Because
you got it worse from Walt than I did.
Yeah.
I just said I'm not familiar enough to know. I've never been drawn to them.
Right. Walt's a PI, and he sent me a notarized letter. It was terrible.
A pointed letter?
Yes, it was notarized by a notary public, which was him. He's a notary public. He notarized his own
so
letter.
important I can notarize my own.
And it was basically a picture included in the letter of my face in his office on a dartboard. And I thought that was great.
With the Grateful Dead album playing.
Wow. So that's fun. Hey, we like and we don't like certain bands. That's just the way we are, right? I mean, we hit on some of the groups we don't like last weekend. We got into talking about who we liked, who we really don't like. Like, there's been some groups that I don't like. So had that going for us, which is nice since last weekend. Was hit on some major things that are going on. Big trailer is going to break tomorrow, today is Saturday on the show. Tomorrow is Sunday.
So they've had a teaser trailer because I saw pieces.
Well, they've got pieces of the trailer that they got little snippets of, but the complete, I think, minute and a half trailer, however long it is, comes out tomorrow. Godzilla versus Kong, the wrestling match of the century, will be coming out. I don't care anything about wrestling.
Didn't they make this once before?
They did Godzilla versus King Kong back in the 70s. Yeah. So
I thought I looked vaguely familiar.
Yeah. So they've got that. They're doing it again now. Both of them are a lot.
They
bigger.
both are the same monster, by the way.
Great. Here goes the email. I'm going to send you an email now.
Well, same size guy in each suit.
Yeah, being as they're both giant and they're monsters, yes. They are the exact
I played the game Rampage. I know that they all have the same powers in that game.
They had the third one in they made the movie with The Rock, remember?
Yes,
the Rampage?
I do remember that.
That was one of his stinkers, I guess. But there was an extra monster in that. There's a werewolf, a giant wolf.
In the game, there's a wolf.
In the game, yeah. So that's fun. We'll talk about, you want to talk about Godzilla vs. Kong, whose team you're going to be on? Chris Hemsworth has arrived in Sydney, Australia to film Thor, Love and Thunder. That's his home country. So, yeah. Larry King has passed away. Talk show host Larry King has passed away. That just came over the wire not too long ago. And we'll talk about a movie that you can see in the theater right now that's just talk about monsters is one of our favorite space monster films through flashbackcinema.net. We'll talk about that. All of that will flash the audience later on. And I got the story of what Tom Holland did when he first found out he was Spider-Man. I never read that story. Well, I'll have all of that plus more coming up. It's BK on the Air.
Hi, I'm David Hasselhoff, and I'll be right back. One to grow on.
Just last night, I was lost in the jungle with Pitfall Harry, surrounded by giant scorpions and man-eating crocodiles.
Well, Harry and I just grabbed the van, swung through the trees, and over the tar pits and found the jungle treasure. It was really neat.
If you haven't met Pitfall Harry, you're missing the year's most incredible video game adventure. Pitfall for the Atari 2600 and in television.
Since I met Pitfall Harry, no other man will do.
Pitfall, designed by David Crane for Activision.
Thanks for introducing me to your friends.
The first day in a new school can be real rough. I mean, oh, here comes my best friend, Becky. Hey, Becky, I want you to... I can't talk to you now.
Your best friend, huh?
I don't get it. I didn't do anything.
That's right. You didn't do anything. It has nothing to do with you. You got the cold shoulder from your best friend because she's probably having a real tough day and she just has something else on her mind. Don't take it personally and don't jump to conclusions. If a friend acts weird, it's most likely because you caught him at a bad time. Wait a little while. When the pressure's off, you'll find out she's still your best friend.
I'm sorry about this morning. I was late for class and I couldn't find my homework. That's okay, Becky. I figured it was something like that. Who are you with? Well, my new friend Brenda. You want to meet her? Sure. Great.
And that's one to grow on.
WBHF in Cartersville.
You are listening to BK on the Air on AM 1450, FM 100.3, and online on the Tunein radio app. Now, back to a guy who'll make you feel really young, mostly because he's so old. It's BK on the Air.
Hey, we're back. Train headed through downtown Cartersville right now at a slow pace. At least someone didn't go around the guardrails like they did, remember, a couple of weeks ago, and I know you see it a lot here. We sit here, we can see the train tracks from the radio station window and see people try to beat the train all the time. So far, I've never seen one lose the contest, but the day
come
they
close.
do, it's going to be a bad day for them.
I've watched it come really close, because sometimes the train is this slow, and there's other times it comes through at like 40, 50 miles an hour. It barrels through, especially early in the morning when they don't see as much traffic out there. It's hauling the mail. I mean, it is hauling.
Some of them might be even hauling oats.
Speaking of hauling the mail.
Speaking of hauling oats.
That is not a phrase that should go together with the USPS right now.
No. It's
not hauling in the terms of, like going quickly.
No.
My father-in-law up in New York was going to sing. We normally have him come down for the holidays. But because of COVID, he was like, I'd rather let's not do anything. Let's see what happens maybe next year. So he didn't get a chance to be here for Christmas. So he said, I want to send the girls their gift cards from up here. He said, called Susan, his daughter, said, hey, I paid extra for 3-day delivery. It took 30 days to show up.
For Christmas things.
They showed up after the holidays.
It's paid for 3 days.
And sent it, not like the last day or like last second. Paid for the 3-day delivery on December the 10th.
So what he didn't know is he was paying for a 27-day delivery.
He was paying for 20. Yes.
Wow. Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with the USPS. Amazon has it figured out.
Oh,
UPS has it figured out. FedEx has it figured out.
DHL. I was about to go that way. I don't want to pile on, but when you have a complaint, I mean, give me a break. Every time that we have a package delivered to the home that's too big to go in our mailbox, you have to probably trek it up the driveway to the house. You just have to put it on the porch.
On the porch.
You'd think you'd put it. We have a huge porch. It's huge. There's no way to miss it.
There it is.
They got a big porch out there with a
We
swing
don't
on
hide it.
Yeah. So
you don't have like the Wakanda,
no.
Invisishield makes it look like it's just
Avengers headquarters with a big A on it. It's a big K though. If UPS delivers a package to us, it's usually on the front porch, right by the front door. Great. FedEx, same thing. DHL, the other guys, same thing. When the US,
probably Amazon, same thing.
Amazon, same thing. When the USPS delivers something to us that won't fit in the mailbox.
It gets there.
Yeah, won't fit in the mailbox. Once we found it on the ground by the mailbox at the end of our driveway. Another time we found it outside the house by the garage door. Both of those places would mean it's in the elements, and if it rains, it's a cardboard box or something. Cardboard doesn't do well with water. You know what I mean?
I noticed that.
I mean, sometimes the contents are wrapped in bubble wrap, which, thank goodness, protects it sometimes. But all the other folks seem to know, oh, there's a porch. Let's put it under the porch, which protects it from whatever the elements might be out here, like snow or sleet.
And
rain.
Most of the other delivery services, they understand there's this concept of porch pirates.
Right.
They try to put it in a place where it's not easily seen. If you're not coming to the door right away, or if there's nobody that answers the door.
Right.
All of my packages are always sort of lying down, but sort of off. They're not propped up for the world to see. They're sort of tucked to the side, but on the front porch.
No, some people decide to put the giant box outside of your garage door with a giant poster saying, "Package here,"
Take me,
with an arrow. So that's terrible. So anyway, that's our rant. We had to get that in. I'm sorry.
Well, we haven't had a rant in a while, but you made me think of it.
But you brought it up, and you sparked one in me. That I had the same kind of rant. A lot of news going on today. We hit on some of the points before we went to a break, and Larry King was a staple. And talk about a guy in radio and then television and CNN. What a career that guy had. I mean, like him, hate him, pro or con. I don't think I wasn't the biggest Larry King fan because I found him kind of as he had those. Oh, it's a Larry King question. I know he's gonna ask a Larry King question here in a minute. But he passed away. So a guy that was, we're in radio, and he started out in radio too, which is interesting.
To let you know how big Larry King was getting in the 80s, he was actually a moment in Ghostbusters when he was actually taking calls. Yeah. Ghostbusters. What do you think?
He's actually in the first. He was a Ghostbusters movie, and I didn't know once Larry King hit CNN and started to get a little more exposure, I guess, in the 80s. a lot of people knew who he was before because he was kind of legendary in the New York market, big markets. But I had never heard of him until I saw him on CNN. Back in the 80s, I just didn't know who he was until I'm like, who's the big Larry King thing? What's the thing about him? He's got the same name as me. I know he's not related to me, but yeah, who is he? And then I finally found out, oh, that's who he is. Just because, and unlike kids today, just because I didn't hear about him did not make him irrelevant. Because some people go, I don't know. There was an original Ghostbusters movie. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
it's like, come on.
Yes, there was only one really.
Lord of the Rings did not rip off Harry Potter. Come on, people. History did not start when you were born. I know you think it did, but that's not true.
A lot of people have that tunnel vision. It only existed in their consciousness.
It's tunnel vision, all right. That's for sure. Let's talk about what we've just seen on Disney Plus. That just premiered last Friday, the new Marvel Studios show, WandaVision, that focuses on Wanda, the Scarlet Witch, as they call her, and the android artificial intelligence being Vision, created by Tony Stark. In the movies, he was created by Tony Stark. We hadn't watched it last week. When we were on last week, it premiered the day before. And we hadn't seen it yet. Well, we've since watched the first 2 episodes. I know the third one, I don't know if it's 3 and 4 or just 3 is out now on Disney Plus. It came out last night. It was Friday. I still haven't seen the third one yet. I'll watch that today when I get home. I watched it. I didn't know what to expect. I saw the trailers just like you did. I'm like, what are they doing with
Here's the crazy thing. I was aware of what they were going to do. I had not watched the trailer. I wish I had, because we watched it after. And I was like, oh, it would have level set a little bit more for the wife. Yeah. I think my wife was really confused in the first one. Like,
Which shocking
what are
a little
we watching?
It's a little shocking when you're used to them in the movies.
It's almost like you're watching them parody old TV. It's like, wait a minute, why are they joking? Is this supposed to be a comedy?
So WandaVision, we start out seeing Wanda and the Vision, who were always an item in the comic book. They got married in the comic book at one point. They always were a love item with each other. And watching the show, it's like they're living some sort of sitcom, perfect smiles and unicorns and puppy dogs life of an old sitcom on their show. And we don't know what's going on here. Something's going on that's not right. And I think the first couple of episodes really paid homage and mimicked, in a way, the Dick Van Dyke Show was in there, Donna Reed's show was in there, and believe it or not, Bewitched was in there.
I felt like we had a Bewitched.
Come on,
there was definitely that in the second one.
It was. And you're watching it, and you're like, what is going on with these characters? And every now
and
then...
the black and white Bewitched, not color.
Their first season of Bewitched, just like the first season of I, Jean Virginia was in black and white. But you're watching it, and as I'm watching it happen, you're like, oh, it's all wonderful sitcom life. They're living the life of a married couple in an old sitcom. But every now and then, something weird will happen. Wanda hears this voice, like over the radio or through the television, or saying, warning her about something. Wanda, where are you? What are you doing here? It's just some sort of beckoning voice from somewhere else.
And that was in episode 2. That was pretty obvious. There's something going on. But the first episode, there was only one thing. And that was the wife of the business manager that was over for dinner.
Right, yeah.
Acting really odd when her husband's
choking.
choking.
The same thing over and over again.
Stop it. Stop it.
It's almost like the record was skipping.
And for those of you who don't know the actress, I can't remember her actress name, but in the 70s show, she played the wife.
She plays the mom, right? Yeah.
And she is so funny. She's just great. And so she's playing that almost like... I mean, she looks like she belongs in that era. And,
right.
But
she does.
All of a sudden, she's acting like, what's wrong with you? It's almost like... her record was skipping.
Right. And then it cuts to I think it was in the second episode, it cuts to an outside shot of a sewer manhole opening up just out of nowhere. And this beekeeper guy comes out, and there's bees around him, and Wanda sees him, and it gets it's kind of a freaky scene. But you notice what the producers do, the directors of the show, is it's shot straight on like an old sitcom until those scenes hit. Then the camera angle changes. Everything it switches to like a handheld weird angle. Everything changes when those scenes creep in.
And this,
the way it's shot.
You and I talked about it during my show, is a great vehicle for both of these actors. I think Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany, they're getting a chance to stretch their acting. And what's amazing is when she's doing the whole Donna Reed, and then something happens in her face, and we realize now it's Wanda.
Camera
now it
changes,
and she's putting on such a great performance. And Paul Bettany, when he literally had his stuff gummed up,
oh yeah, he's great.
I was
he
like,
swallowed
that
the gum.
was so
that was
funny.
So funny.
That was great.
It was great. It's BK on there. We're going to take a break now. When we come back, we'll flash the audience. If you want to call in later, we'll take your calls at BK on the air. Stand by. We'll talk more about WandaVision 2 and more things when we come back after the break.
Allow me to introduce myself. I am Jarvis, a virtual artificial intelligence, and I'm here to assist you with a variety of tasks as best I can. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Importing all preferences from home interface. Systems are now fully operational.
Finally, a robot to stop ladies from squeezing Charmin.
Don't squeeze Charmin. Don't squeeze Charmin.
Charmin's doubly fluffy, doubly irresistible.
Don't squeeze. Fluffy. Squeeze Charmin. Squeeze Charmin.
Squeezack's right. Charmin made the ordinary way might not get squeezed, but Charmin's doubly fluffy. It's so squeezably soft.
It's doubly irresistible.
Don't squeeze Charmin. Don't squeeze.
What are your prime directives?
Serve the public trust, protect the innocent, uphold the law. Thank you.
Sure. Anytime. Oh, yeah. Go get him, boy.
I'd buy that for $1.
Hey, we're back. It's BK on the air here on AM 1450 and 100.3 FM WBHF. Hello, everybody on the podcast that are listening. That's listening later when it turns into a podcast. You can hear me, the BKSK Pod, on Anchor, Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube. If you can get a hold of any one of those platforms, you can hear the show. Just got a call off the air from Barbara, who likes to check in with us sometimes, and said that we were talking about old sitcoms because we were talking about WandaVision being a lot like them. And she said when she was a little girl, she had a family member was a TV salesperson, and they had one of the only TVs in the area, and people would come over and watch television, and it was a little teeny tiny suitcase-sized television with a tiny black and white screen in the middle of it. Mm-hmm. How far we've come on television, because she said before they would go on the air, they had a test pattern there on the screen, and they said that mesmerized them, and they watched that until it actually started broadcasting. That shows a long way that we've come a long way since then. We really have. And you and I were talking about remember how stations signed off and signed on in the morning. Now, yes. I don't think there's a station in America. If there is, somebody need to let me know. There may be one somewhere that's a smaller one that signs off the air and actually goes off the air and didn't play anything at all night long until the next morning.
Just static. Or, like you said, sometimes you'd see the color bars.
The test pattern of color bar of some kind.
Before they'd go live.
With the spectrum of colors and the one white one at the bottom, that standard little shot.
And sometimes you hear the test tone.
The yep. Man, we've come a long way with television. Oh. Now it's not even... You say TV to a kid, now they're like, what does that mean, TV? What does television mean? TV.
I just got to say this to my wife. When we grew up, there were things on television, the big events called miniseries. It wasn't a movie. Well, it was kind of, but it was so long that they broke it up into like 4 parts or 8 parts.
And they were usually adaptations of books or something like that sometimes. Yeah.
You know, like Herman Wouk's The Winds of War. Like, oh, okay.
We have an anniversary today of one. It's funny you say that on this day in history.
Netflix is now calling them limited series because these kids today, they think everything on Netflix is a season, which means there'll be a season 2. Well, we just finished watching. I just finally watched the Queen's Gambit, which is phenomenal. It is
Mrs. BK is watching it too. Yeah.
So incredibly good, based on a book.
Yeah,
it's told in 7 parts because it's a mini series.
Exactly,
they don't call it that.
Right.
Netflix's limited series.
Yeah.
Why is it limited? Because there's only 7 episodes. Well, then it's not really a season. It's just a movie in 7 parts. But they call it something else.
And I was talking to Barbara, too, about how today there's no such really thing anymore as television repairmen. You used to have a TV repairman replace your picture tube. Picture tube blows out on your big picture tube television that we had back in the day. We had it repaired. But for you kids out there today, your flat screen TV goes out, chunking it, you go recycle it, chunk it in the garbage.
We used to go to the Ace Hardware by my house where they had the tube tester because you had multiple vacuum tubes.
Exactly.
My dad would be like, okay, it's got to be one of these over here. He would pull the tubes out, go down to the Ace Hardware, plug them into the machine, and get a good or bad, and then have to order or see if it's in stock that tube. That's where the nice warm glow of the orange came from. All those tubes in the back.
And the heat that the TV would go off.
You could keep your meal warm putting it on top.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, I was watching Andy Griffith not too long ago, and you had a character on Andy Griffith called Emmett's Fix-It Shop in downtown Mayberry. He was Emmett. He had a Fix-It Shop. People would bring
in the name.
Their TVs to be fixed, their little tiny radios to be repaired, their toaster needed to be repaired so it would keep working. We don't do any of that anymore. It's a throwaway thing now. Something goes bad, chunk it, because it is not worth it to fix it. Just buy a new one. It's cheaper.
Well, you saw that survey before the holidays, but right before Thanksgiving. Millennials, self-reported, don't know how to fix anything, including like unstop a toilet, unstop a drain.
See, yeah.
We're talking home repairs, not even fix a TV. We're talking, okay, your toilet's clogged. What are you going to do? I'm going to call somebody. You can't unclog your toilet?
Yeah. See, I can't do a lot, but I can do that. I can do some of that.
I understand
stuff,
the concept of the plunger.
And look, each generation knows how to do less. My dad knew how to do no more than me. My dad's father, I'm sure, knew how to do more than he did. Now our kids know how to do less than we do. So it's just,
I know we got to get to this, but I got to dovetail on this.
Right. We're going to be like a Wall-E.
My youngest daughter, because I'm putting in the flooring in their house. So I come over there to get all the room prep, which means I have to rip up the carpet. I have to get all of it tacked up. I go over there. I've got a crowbar. I've got a razor knife to cut the carpet. I've got
and which hand's holding the beer?
I don't have the beer yet. And my youngest goes, "How do you know how to do this?"
It's just living.
And she's just like in awe. Like she's not asking it sarcastically. Like she's in awe. Like, how do you know? I said,
yeah.
Well, you know when we go to the hospital when mom's ready to have the baby, but it doesn't come right away? Yeah, it's because I get pulled into a side room and they say, okay, we've got to import dad knowledge. Now, this is dad class.
Right, so you tell them you upload it like the Matrix.
I said, did
they
you ever
plug
see
your
the
head
Matrix?
in.
I said, I get plugged in and like my eyes flutter for a second. I'm like, I can do dad stuff.
I can fly a helicopter now.
No, they don't give me the cool stuff. I can unstop a toilet.
I know jujitsu.
She just looked at me. Then she gave me one of those like typical kid that,
Yeah. And you're like, and that's the one thing I don't have, what you just did right then. I don't have that.
I don't have patience for that.
I had it when I was with my dad when I was younger. And by the way, Stacy's daughter gets mad, too, because we were watching a movie sometime, and we go, oh, we know where this is going, so-and-so and so-and-so is going to happen. And we're right. And she's like, how do you guys figure that out? It's like 50 years of watching movies is where that comes
We
in.
also pay attention.
Yeah, we could usually, sometimes we could figure some of it out.
When I ever have somebody go, I don't understand what happened in that movie, I'm like, watch it again, but put your phone down. Some movies you actually have to pay attention.
But we were talking about WandaVision earlier. I haven't figured it out yet. They're doing a really good job of keeping
No, but
me in
you
the
and I
dark,
should off air talk about what we might think, because we've got enough of a sci-fi brain that we've got options in our heads already.
We might figure it out, what's going on.
But I'm cool. I'm glad that I don't know for a fact where it's going
because that's good writing, and I don't want to be able to figure it out that easily.
Right.
Yeah. Well, how's that for an intro? Flash the audience of the news, weird, the strange, and the bizarre.
Okay, fine. I got the first news.
You had to play it twice.
You always play it twice. I listen to your show. I know the format.
Played it 3 times.
Well, now you've just ruined the format. That's
okay,
it.
I'm sorry.
What's going on? Monkeys are flying. All right. An Oklahoma state representative introduced a bill that would establish a hunting season for one of the state's most infamous species of alleged native wildlife.
Black bear.
No.
Badger, Wolverine.
Nope. Think bigger. In fact, think big. Think
like
$6 million
like 12
man.
inches,
Crossover
maybe?
with Bionic Woman.
Oh, not the Sasquatch.
Bigfoot.
Really?
Yes. According to the UPI, Representative Justin Humphrey, a Republican from District 19, introduced a bill to the state legislature that would call on the Oklahoma Wildlife Commission to designate a Bigfoot hunting season. The mythical ape has been the subject of numerous sightings in southern Oklahoma for years, and the region hosts an annual Bigfoot festival for fans of the, I call it and this is the scientific name, the cryptid. CRYPTID.
PETA's going to be mad.
Yeah.
They're going to be mad.
The Oklahoma Wildlife Conservation Commission shall promulgate rules establishing a Bigfoot hunting season. The commission shall set annual season dates and create any necessary specific hunting licenses and fees, the bill states. The bill, if passed by the legislature and signed by the governor, would take effect on the 1st of November of this year.
That's terrible. They should sit him down and everyone in that legislature for where is that? Where is that? Oklahoma. They should set every one of them down and let them watch Harry and the Hendersons. Because I bet they've never seen it before.
Just misunderstood.
I mean, come on. I mean, I was one of those guys that actually liked Harry and the Hendersons. I know it flopped. They thought it was going to be a big hit because it was I think it was Spielberg produced it through Amblin or something like that.
I liked it.
I thought it was a cute movie, and John Lithgow was in it, and I thought it was great.
There was a period where John Lithgow...
He didn't play Bigfoot, though. He just played his father.
Couldn't do anything wrong for me. Even if the movie was bad, I was like, but he's John Lithgow.
John Lithgow, the first thing I saw him in was The World According to Garp with Robin Williams. Do you remember him in that?
John Lithgow.
Yeah, playing I think he was like a transvestite in it or something like that. But he was such an endearing character in it. He was so awesome.
But have you ever, when he's playing the bad guy too? He's been a great villain.
Raising Cain, Brian De Palma.
But then he can play a complete goofball nerd. I mean, he's very flexible.
Or a really good guy.
Yes,
he can.
I like John Lithgow.
Cliffhanger was with Sylvester Stallone.
Wow,
he chews up the scenery. Cliffhanger.
Walt loves Cliffhanger.
I do. I thought it was
greatest
a great movie.
Stallone movie made.
I wouldn't argue. If someone said that, I wouldn't argue with them because it's a really, really good Stallone movie.
It is so good. And if anybody were to say anything against it, they just don't know what they're talking about.
You just don't get it. Watch the movie. It's
maybe pay attention this time.
I use that as a reference. If I am ever living out west and I get in that situation about the money and stuff like that, I know what to do. First, I got to learn how to climb. I really have to learn how to climb. We'll flash the audience some more when we come back. It's BK on the air.
I want my MTV.
Turn it on. Leave it on.
I want my MTV.
I want my MTV.
I want my MTV. Turn it on. Leave it on. I want my MTV. I want my MTV. I want my MTV.
I want my MTV.
24 hours a day.
In stereo. Yes, DJ. Your day. World premiere video special. Music news. I want my MTV, MTV, MTV.
Too much.
What?
Yeah, too much. Never enough.
Never enough.
And the fun continues here off the air as it does on. We're having a spirited conversation off the air about Stallone's Cliffhanger.
Sometimes
movie.
we get text messages even.
Some people think it's a bad movie. I think it's one of. I really do think it's one of.
Nobody
Stallone's
would think it's a bad. Especially of all the Stallone movies you could choose from that are not up to par.
You mentioned Throw Mama from the Train.
Stop
Her, My Mom Shoot. Throw Mama from the Train is another movie, but they have similar titles. Stop Her, My Mom Will Shoot with it's Estelle Getty from Golden Girls, right? That one's really bad. If you've never seen Rhinestone, never watch it because it's Stallone and Dolly
Parton, though.
Yeah, but you know what?
That makes it a step above Estelle Getty. Because if I have to look at two women that with the same similar hairstyle, I'm picking Dolly Parton.
Well, no, because at least Stop Her, My Mom Will Shoot has a big revolver gun in it, so maybe they.
Yeah, but there's a couple of big things in Rhinestone too that are worth watching.
Oh, Rhinestone! He tries to sing a country.
He does try to sing.
Oh my goodness, it is easily one of his worst. But Cliffhanger is one of the best.
Can I tell you, Stallone just has a bad rap. He understood where his bread and butter was. He did reach out in doing other things. Sure. I think Copland's
the best acting he ever did.
And
absolute hands down.
And I loved when he tried to do the play turned into a film. Oscar. It was tried to be.
Was funny.
I thought it was great.
It was well done.
But nobody wanted to see Rocky or Rambo. That's all they could see. Like, oh my God, here's Rocky acting. It's not. It's an actor.
Yeah.
You should be. I get when a 6-year-old can't separate actor from character, but grown adults. Anyway, wow. You got a timer going. I don't know. You're supposed to be on the air or something.
I'm on mute too.
Maybe that's a reminder we're supposed to be doing.
That's
Flash
my
the
alarm
audience.
going off. That's Walt sending me a self-destruct to my phone for saying that Cliffhanger is a good movie. I got another news from UPI. A Canadian company is seeking full-time and part-time candyologists to serve as taste testers for the company's confections.
Okay.
Candy Funhouse, based in Mississauga, Ontario, said the remote working positions offer $47 an hour to sample and review some of the company's 3,000 candy and chocolate treats. What, are you going to pay me to do it? That much money, too? On top of everything
I'll find a way to battle through.
Quote, candidates should have enthusiasm and eagerness to try confectionery products, the job posting states. We are looking for honest and objective opinions on the products that will be taste tested, unquote. Applicants are being accepted online through February 15th, and that's Candy Funhouse if you want to check it out. You're going to pay me $47 an hour? I'm going to be extra truthful with you about it. I'll let you know exactly what I think about the candy.
Why don't I ever get those job offers?
Oh, the Wienermobile. We just found out that we're unqualified. We're not qualified to drive the Wienermobile.
That bothered me. Too old to drive the Wienermobile.
Too old to begin the Wienermobile. Yes. Too old to drive the Wiener.
To begin the training. Sorry. Shut up, Yoda.
I'm sorry.
I've got the next news. Hey, we're still sticking to my my homeland from my mom's side of the family. We're back in Canada.
Your mom's a Canadian?
She is Canadian.
Oh, right.
French Canadian. She actually was born in Montreal. She speaks French.
I'll bet she knows that William Shatner is Canadian.
I don't think she does. She does now because she listens
Rod
to you.
Serling isn't, though.
No, Rod Serling isn't. But,
he is not
And
Canadian.
neither are you. You're not Canadian.
No, I'm not Canadian.
But she listens
I like
to
Canadian
you.
bacon, though.
Love Canadian bacon.
Just had a pizza at St. Angelo's yesterday. St. Angelo's deep dish pizza.
Good stuff.
Garlic
All right.
knots.
A Toronto woman captured video when she looked into her backyard and was confronted with a bizarre sight.
A Canadian leaf fell off a tree.
Well, it was a squirrel. You think
what's the big deal about a squirrel?
But apparently he was brandishing a knife.
What? He was an armed squirrel?
Lose the jewelry, lady. Apparently he took a bad turn earlier in his life.
Wow.
Andrea Diamond, who lives in the Rosedale area of Toronto, said squirrels are a common sight in her backyard, but Wednesday morning she spotted a squirrel that had picked up a paring knife that she had left near a tent outside of her home. She said the rodent gnawed on the knife handle for a while before abandoning the tool. She said the animal returned a short time later to chew on the knife a little longer. Diamond said the squirrel did not appear to have injured himself with the sharp object.
I thought that was going to go in a completely different direction. Now, the night he then proceeded to take her jewelry and her money from her and ran off and bought some nuts.
Look, lady, I know you got the nuts stashed inside. Now go get them.
I got the next news.
Would I hide my nuts in the oven? You might. You might.
Thanks, Bugs. From UPI, Apollo 11 astronaut Buzz Aldrin shared a video showing how he celebrated his 91st birthday. So you shouldn't feel so bad now you're 50. 91st birthday this week by blowing out 91 candles on top of a cake. That's astronaut Buzz Aldrin for you.
He used a leaf blower.
It's all that lung power from wearing the astronaut outfit. Aldrin, whose birthday was this past Wednesday, tweeted a video Thursday showing how he celebrated with 91 lit candles, and he's the second man to walk on the moon, and he blew them out with multiple breaths. The video features Aldrin's lady Anka Fowler wishing him happy birthday. Quote, when Alan Shepard said, let's light this candle, I'm sure he never envisioned 91 of them, Aldrin tweeted, referencing the first U.S. astronaut to travel into space. Thank you, everyone, for all the birthday wishes yesterday, and to my Anka for making the day so special, Buzz Aldrin said. 91. All of a sudden, I don't feel so old anymore when I hear people hitting the 90s and the hundreds.
I told you, when I hit 50, I was like, okay, I'm at the halfway point.
You hit it too, man.
I'm at the halfway point. I got half to go.
You hit 50.
All right. Guess what? I have got the next news. Stutter.
There you go.
You'll fix that in post.
I might leave that one like it is.
An Irish girl's soccer ball floated out to sea and was found 7 days later washed up on a beach 124 miles away in Wales.
Wow.
Yes, Aline Denton, a volunteer at Cardigan Bay Marine Wildlife Center, said she found the ball while participating in a beach cleanup in, I cannot even pronounce the name of this place.
I saw that and I'm like, what is that called?
I guess something more like be German, but it's Wales. Noticed it was marked with the name of the owner. Denton posted photos of the ball to Facebook along with an appeal to help find the girl. The post came to the attention of the girl's father, who revealed the 10-year-old had lost the ball at Westtown Beach in County Waterford, no pun intended, Waterford, about 7 days earlier. Denton said the ball will, in fact, be returned to the girl.
What kind of ball was that?
Soccer ball.
Oh.
Wilson! Wilson!
I don't care. It's a different ball, but it still seems like Wilson. You lose it.
You're a volleyball. BK doesn't know his balls.
I don't.
Volleyball, soccer ball, football. You know the football, at least. It's a different shape.
When it comes to sports, you're right.
You might know the ping pong ball. You know the bowling ball.
That's right.
I saw a picture of you two-fisted bowling.
We did.
You were doing the Fred Flintstone.
And we're.
I'm waiting for you to go.
They wouldn't let me do it barefooted, though. I have to have those stupid bowling shoes on.
Remember the time that he had to do the spare, and he used like the old-fashioned bowling, like a barbell, where he put the bar between the two and rolled them down the gutters and took the spare out?
We were bowling with the sun and Jupiter.
I saw that.
The bowling. My ball looks like it's the sun, and Stacy's looked like the planet Jupiter.
You were holding them up in the air.
It was fun.
They were massive.
I know. was fun. It's the first time we ever been there to do that. I got the next news from UPI. Russell Jones of London said he noticed after his ankle was broken that his dog, Billy, was keeping one of his front paws raised while walking. Jones spent about $400 to have a veterinarian examine Billy and take x-rays of his apparently injured leg. But the medical professional was unable to find anything wrong with the dog. The veterinarian told Jones his dog was just imitating the way he walks with his broken ankle. Jones said Billy had been limping since the day after his ankle injury.
Really? And the dog was mimicking that.
And he's out $400 at the vet.
Now,
or
you know
however much that would be in pounds in London. I'm not sure.
You know what's funny? I know dogs will do that, but our youngest dog, Lola, we were downstairs, the wife and I, we were working out, and so we were doing these things where we were kind of like doing the downward dog and the stretches and stuff. And she started doing them with us, and they would start to go underneath us and like, hey, if we're all on the ground working out together, I can work out too. I was like, that's so funny. And she would bounce back and forth between us.
That's your dog, Lola.
L-O-L-A, Lola.
Yeah. Walks like a woman, but talks like a man.
L-O-L-A, Lola.
Yeah, it gave me a hug and nearly broke my spine.
That song is so weird. I know what it's about.
But it did have lips that tasted just like cherry cola. C-O-L-A.
Don't fool me.
Cola.
Don't fool me like that. Not the way the song is. By the way, speaking of dogs, Pippa's now a courier from upstairs to downstairs. Stacy went downstairs.
You can send her?
Well, yeah, she's a courier. Stacy went downstairs the other day, and it was still kind of cold. She's like, I came downstairs, and I don't have my socks on. She's got some new cool Christmas socks that look like candy canes from Christmas. And they're pretty. They're toasty, too. She really likes them. She's like, I left my socks up there. Can you bring me down the socks when you come down? I'm thinking, I'm not going to be down there for a while. I'm doing something up here. I'm like, Pippa, here, take the socks to Mommy. Go take them to Mommy. And that dog grabbed those socks, and she took them right down there and gave them to her. So now I'm like, all the possibilities are endless here. This is great. I got a dog courier. This is going to be fantastic.
It's always important, though, that you know where your socks are.
Yeah, or whose mouth they've been in, which is great.
I prefer to keep the socks in the bedroom, but,
yeah,
you've got the whole house.
Yes. And sax, too. You play the sax? Saxophone.
It's always good.
Never forget the joke in the Police Squad show of the Naked Gun movie, but it was the TV show Police Squad that it was first, and it was all about he was trying to figure out who was out to kill this boxer, and Leslie Nielsen goes and visits him in the locker room before he goes out to fight, and the boxer's sitting there playing the saxophone, and he's like, wait, took it away from him. He's like, I told you, no sax before a fight. And as a kid, I'm like, I get it. That was a funny joke.
Never got it when you were little.
That show was ahead of its time because it did not survive on television, but it survived in the movie theater a few years later because it was never a ratings giant when it was on television. So the Abrams and the Zucker brothers said, let's try to make it into films, and they did, and it worked. So that's weird, just how fickle TV audiences are sometimes. Sometimes radio, too. It's big on there.
Stand by to receive our transmission.
Everything's perfectly all right now. We're fine. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you?
Welcome to Star Wars Extra. Star Wars then, Star Wars now, Star Wars forever. Bringing you the latest from across the Star Wars universe. I'm your host, Mike Mann. It's been quite the eventful week in the Star Wars universe. To start things off, in a case of mistaken identity, the British paper The Sun released aerial drone photos of a Star Wars set, with a title claiming it to belong to the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Star Wars fans immediately raised a collective eyebrow, with one fan pointing out the similarities to the Star Wars Andor sizzle reel, released at Disney's Investors' Day event. Further confirmation was made by our friends at Fantatrax, stating, Fantatrax have reviewed public records for the site, and we have been able to confirm that the set is in fact for the Andor series. Speaking of Andor, Alan Tudyk, the voice of K2SO, has confirmed that K2SO will not be in the first season of the Andor series.
That is a bad idea.
Next, we go to Funko Fair 2021, the first virtual release event by the Pops creators. Kicking things off was the release of the new Star Wars collectibles, including the long-awaited Ben Solo from the Rise of Skywalker figure and the Mandalorian Mini Pop series. Also in the Amazon exclusive event are a 10-inch Babu Frick Pop giant figure. And just in time for Valentine's Day, holiday-themed figures variants of Yoda, Chewbacca, R2-D2, and Darth Vader, and a Stormtrooper to come in red and pink with heart-shaped box accessories. You will want to act fast. These exclusive items are only available through Funko Fair 2021, which is only a 2-week event.
I love you.
I know.
At the beginning of the week, we reported on Mark Hamill and Peyton Reed, director of The Mandalorian, exchanging appreciation. In case you missed it, Reed took to Twitter and shared a photo of Luke Skywalker with some heartfelt appreciation, including, "It was an honor and a dream come true to work with you on The Mandalorian." Hamill humbly replied, "Your assured direction and kindness was a crucial element in the Star Wars experience and means more to me than I can say." Our full-page report on this and more can be found on the Star Wars Extra YouTube page. That's all the time we have this week. Be sure to check us out on the Star Wars Extra YouTube page. Give us a like and subscribe for the latest news. And also, a behind-the-scenes look into our documentary and production, Building Boba Fett. An in-depth look and interview with those involved in the creation of the elusive bounty hunter. Also, make sure to tune back in next week for all the latest and greatest in Star Warsing. For Star Wars Extra, I'm Mike Mann. And now back to our friend, BK on the Air.
Thank you, Mike, for that trip into a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Channel StarWars.com. I want to remind everybody that if you're a big fan of the movie John Carpenter's The Thing, which we're a big fan of John Carpenter films, and it was just, I think it was funny because it was just John Carpenter's birthday last weekend. We were talking about it, but you can see The Thing is playing right now. Go to flashbackcinema.net and find out what theater near you can actually go see John Carpenter's The Thing in the movie theater, which for some of us would be the first time that we'd ever seen it in the theater. It certainly would be for me if I went to see it in the theater, because I know you didn't see it in the theater either, did you?
Nope.
We're both
first time
home
I
video
saw
people.
it was rental from Blockbuster.
Isn't that great? Rental from Blockbuster. Back in the old days when we rented videotapes from stores.
Back when,
and brought them home.
Much like albums down at Rockin' Shop, you'd go through those aisles and go, I don't know what this movie is, but the cover looks cool.
I got a story that dovetails with that right here. I was going to talk about it last week, but I didn't get a chance to, but I will right now from the Chicago Tribune. A Glenville-based family video has outlasted Blockbuster, but the DVD rental chain is finally closing its 250 stores and ending its long run. Family Video, suburban Chicago-based video rental chain that outlasted Blockbuster's VHS tapes and Be Kind Rewind mantra, is closing its stores and calling it quits after 42 years. The chain, which survived the advent of the online video by locating its brick-and-mortar stores and DVD rental offerings in a small town across the Midwest, announced last Tuesday that its business had fallen victim to the pandemic. They were founded in 1978. Family Video went from renting Betamax tapes, and to VHS and DVDs over the years, and it grew to an 800-store chain at its zenith. The company, which owns most of its retail real estate, evolved the business model, partnering with Marco's Pizza in 2015 to give customers another reason to venture out for their video entertainment. But video rental sales have been declining for years, as we well know, and consumers turn to online streaming such as Netflix and other outlets. That evolution marked the death knell for its larger competitors, such as Blockbuster, which announced it was closing its corporate-owned stores back in, was it 2013 when the last Blockbuster? It was. Family Video has been shrinking in recent years as well, but still had a retail footprint spanning 17 mostly Midwestern states. Its exit leaves Oakbrook Terrace-based Redbox as one of the few alternatives for those who can't let go of the hands-on video rental experience. Founded in 2002 by hamburger giant McDonald's, I didn't know that, as a vehicle to drive traffic to its restaurants, Redbox still has more than 41,000 of its video rental kiosks scattered at supermarkets and retail locations across the country. Well, how would they, if McDonald's made them to go to the restaurants, why didn't they put weren't there Redbox outside McDonald's?
I think they were in the initial run. That's why they're called Redbox, because of the red of the McDonald's sign.
Then I don't remember.
But then they realized we're going to make a lot of money if we put this in other high traffic areas.
Wow, I did not know that. But Redbox is still here. They may eventually go away as well, but I don't go to Redbox anymore. There was a while there where I was still going, up until just about a year ago. But I think that taped.
Oh, really? Okay, I was saying I've never had the pleasure of navigating the touchscreen or use of a Redbox. I'm like, meh.
And what appealed to me was, I can rent from a red box, but I can return it to any red box. I don't have to take it back to that one little red box, which is great. I don't know how long they're going to last.
You know what's even greater? I don't have to leave my couch to rent a movie.
Yeah, really not anymore. We don't.
Nope, just enter your PIN.
But there are, I still have not gotten rid of my home video collection. I still have a lot of DVD and Blu-ray that I just go, I can't always watch that because every movie I own on DVD isn't always readily available to rent on
there are
streaming.
A lot
so
that
have to wait till it comes back around or whatever.
No, I've still got my DVD/Blu-ray library. Now we're just a little more discreet about what we buy.
Well, we'll do this on this day in history when we come back. And an actor died that you all may know. His name was Gregory Sierra.
We'll return after these messages.
Bowling sure makes me hot and thirsty.
This is a job for Kool-Aid. Hey, Kool-Aid!
Oh, yeah! Kool-Aid's here, bringing you fun. Kool-Aid's got thirst on the run. Get a big, wide, happy ear to ear. Kool-Aid smile, 'cause the biggest smile is a Kool-Aid smile. A Kool-Aid smile, a Kool-Aid smile.
Your friend's cool.
My friend's Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid brand soft drink mix.
Hello, lucky person. You got the number right, because you are talking to Kid a Dynamite! Excuse me!
When it comes to shows about movies and comic books, heroes and crazy news, I tune into BK on the air from 10 to noon Saturdays.
He's bold. He's brazen. He's the Sci-Fi Channel's Buck Rogers.
Buck Rogers.
Buck Rogers. Weeknights at 8.
We're back. It's BK on the air here on AM 1450 and 100.3 FM WBHF. Today in history, movie history, 1943, Casablanca, the Michael Curtiz directed masterpiece with Humphrey Bogart, premiered on this day. 1975, Barney Miller premiered on ABC TV, one of my dad's favorite television shows. He loved Barney Miller, and it was a funny show. We got a reoccurring cast member from Barney Miller, news on a reoccurring cast member that passed away coming up on the show here later. Today also, a television entertainment news, January 23rd on this day, 1977. Alan mentioned miniseries earlier when he was talking about television and things. The miniseries Roots premiered on ABC on this day back in 1977.
That was a big event.
It was a big event, and we watched it too, along with... I watched a lot of miniseries when I was a kid. The ones that didn't pique my interest, I wasn't so interested in, because I don't think, as a kid, I was never really interested in Shogun with Richard Chamberlain. I don't think I watched that. I think my mom wanted to watch Herman Wouk's The Winds of War with Robert Mitchum.
We watched that.
And I thought it was kind of a World War II thing, so I thought, okay, we'll watch that. And there was I think there was a miniseries on once that I watched about Pearl Harbor called Pearl, I think, which was really good. I really liked that. And Pearl, that miniseries was interesting because they used stock footage from the movie Tora, Tora, Tora to save money to use as that film, which was great. Another television premiere on this day in history, January 23rd, 1983.
I pity the fool goes home crying to his mama.
The A-Team premiered on NBC on this day in 1983 is when it first premiered.
If you need help and you know how to find them,
call the Equalizer.
You can contact
the A-Team too. And the Equalizer. If you had them both working for you, you were going to be all right. And very recent on this day anniversaries. Look at this. 2003, January 23rd, the final communication between Earth and NASA probe Pioneer 10 was received. That was the last transmission we had from Pioneer 10. Now it's floated out into deep space, going to be found by some robot planet and come back to destroy us as a giant cloud. Wait, no, that was Voyager.
Voyager.
Not Pioneer. This one won't be Voyager. This will be Pioneer. Some of the letters are messed up. We can't pronounce that. We don't want to pronounce that.
Bones is a thing out there.
Why is any object we don't understand always called a thing?
And just 2019, January 23rd, on this day in 2019, Star Trek Picard premiered on CBS All Access. It's been that long ago now in our rearview mirror that hit TV or streaming or television or whatever they call it now, boob tube, whatever they used to call it. We're talking about old TV earlier. What do I even call it now? The flat screen, whatever it is, plasma TV, whatever it's called.
Thing.
And by the way, those are getting better and better too, because our Samsung television that we have now is from 2017 16, I think, or 17, and I see the new ones. I'm like, man, the new ones look even better. They're just going to look better every time there's a new one come out. I can't believe this. I thought we had the state-of-the-art one when it came out back then. Birthdays today. Today is John Hancock's birthday, American merchant and statesman who was the first to sign the Declaration of Independence. Born in Massachusetts and died in 1793. That's why you have the old, hey, put your John Hancock on that, will you? You going to sign that for me?
I don't know where he signed it. It seemed like he kind of hid it.
Did he hide it?
Plain sight.
John Hancock.
My dad actually worked at one point in time for the insurance company, John Hancock.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I remember that one of the things they got in this bicentennial year were replications, including on the kind of paper of the Declaration of Independence. I used to have one in a tube. Rolled-up tube.
He's probably still got it in the attic somewhere.
I don't know where it went, and I'm so mad, but it was kind of cool.
Look, you need to look under the floor mats in the back of that truck that you're driving. He may have it stashed in the truck there somewhere. It may be worth something. You never can tell. Ernie Kovacs' birthday is today. American comedian. If you're not familiar with Ernie Kovacs, he was a very pioneering comedian back in the 50s. If you ever see his stuff, the Showtime cable network, he's not a household name really like Jackie Gleason and Lucille Ball and a lot of the others, but he really was a legend in the way he did comedy. If you ever want to check him out, he died in 1962.
Sounds like a baseball player.
Ernie Kovacs. Ernie Kovacs batting for...
right, wow, I'm waiting to see if you can finish this thought.
He kind of does. Today is...
I couldn't help it.
Gil Gerard, Buck Rogers' birthday today. Gil Gerard.
Aren't they rebooting that sometime?
I don't know. I've heard over and over again like they're going to reboot that and the $6 Million Man, and I don't know if they're ever going to get it done. And now COVID's slowed everything down, so who knows if
that would make a good series on like Netflix or something.
It would, kind of like they did Lost in Space. Mm-hmm. It would be really good. Gil Gerard from Arkansas. He's a local guy now. He lives locally here in Carrollton, Georgia now. He retired and lives in Carrollton. He's really close to Atlanta, so he can go to Dragon Con. I met Gil a couple of times. Super nice guy. He'll sit there and talk to you about, just talk about Buck Rogers, talk about whatever you want. And he sat there and talked to me like I'd known him for 50 years. It was a great conversation I had with Gil.
Wow.
And it's great to know that he's a Southern boy, too.
Must have had you mixed up with somebody he liked.
He must have, yeah. It's like, who's this fat, bearded guy?
I think I remember a producer there from Hollywood. He must be here to talk about my movie opportunity.
Then I don't want to talk to you. Yeah. By the way, it's also today is the birthday of Rutger Hauer, which we lost in 2019, passed away. Okay, other than, you and I would have to choose Blade Runner as one of his best roles that he did. But what was his other standout role for you? I've got a couple of more that I really liked by Rutger. What were
I liked more? And I know there were 80s movies, but I think I've liked everything Rutger Hauer's in, but The Hitcher.
The Hitcher is one of mine with C. Thomas Howell. And it wasn't really an 80s movie. It was just a great chase thriller.
But I loved him, and I can't remember, was it Blind Justice?
Where he's the blind guy that can fight
from Korea, like from the Vietnam War, but he's got a walking stick.
That was great. It was over the top, but it was great.
Yeah.
It was great.
It was the typical 80s action kind of formula, but there was something about Rutger Hauer that always brought like gravitas to the character.
Right.
And I saw this little quirky independent flick called Escape from Sobibor.
I have Escape from Sobibor on DVD,
and I do too. And I watched it, and that's a cool
concentration camp movie. It's a true story, which is a great one. That one is a really great. It was a TV movie, believe it or not.
And I also really, really liked, and although it was more heavy, I was expected to be more action. But I loved when he played in the movie with Lady Hawk with
with Matthew Broderick,
a young
Michelle
Matthew
Pfeiffer.
Broderick, yes.
Where they could never touch. He was a wolf, and when he would turn into a human, she was turning into a hawk.
Right. I thought was pretty cool. I've always liked Rutger Hauer.
He's a great actor. I also really loved him as the bad guy in we're talking about Stallone, in the Stallone movie with Billy Dee Williams called Nighthawks. He was a great bad guy terrorist in that movie. You hated him in that movie. Let's face it, he could play a bad guy.
He could do a bad guy so well.
And another movie, what was the other one I was thinking about that he was in that I'm like, that was really good, and Rutger Hauer's in it, and I can't remember now what it was. But he's a great actor. We just named some of his best films. I know what it was. It was the movie version of Steve McQueen's Wanted Dead or Alive, where he was a bounty hunter. Well, they made a movie in the 80s called Wanted Dead or Alive, and Rutger Hauer played Steve McQueen's great-great-great-grandson.
Oh, really?
In the film, and even had these 6-shooter revolvers that he used to hunt down the that Steve McQueen used in the TV show. If you've never seen Wanted Dead or Alive, it is great.
Every time I think I know what it is.
Gene Simmons from The Kiss is the bad guy in it, but I'm not sure. I think he might be.
Okay.
I can't remember who was in it, but
I think I remember that.
I need to watch it again.
I think you're right. I think it was Gene Simmons.
It was such a good movie.
Because he bombs like a movie theater.
I guess. And
Rutger Hauer finds like a kid's doll and realizes that he killed like innocent people.
Maybe that is it, yeah.
Or we might be mixing up all the 80s movies that ever happened
all I know
once.
is he plays a terrorist in Nighthawk. He's an evil bad guy in that. If you've never, now you want to see it.
Just what you've described.
It's a really good movie. Stallone and Billy D. Williams play like a task force. It's in New York or Chicago or somewhere. I can't remember the city it's set in. But they know he's loose in the city and he's out to cause some havoc. He's a terrorist, and it's in the 80s they made it. And it was.
I need to go back. I may have maybe one of those things that I saw it once and it's now blurred in my memory. Because some of that sounds familiar, but I don't think I've ever seen it.
Pierce's Kambata plays in it as, the lady that played Ilea in Star Trek The Motion Picture, the girl who shaved her head for Ilea. She plays in it with hair. She has hair. But the female,
who's the
female lead? I got to look it up now. So it's Nighthawk. Hold on, let me look this up. Nighthawk. It's Lindsay Wagner. The bionic woman is his love interest in the film. She's in it. That's who's in it. I couldn't think of who was in it, but she is in it. So
I'll have to
got
look for that.
sidetracked by Rutger Hauer there. It's also today. It's MacGyver's birthday. Richard Dean Anderson, American actor from MacGyver, and the TV show Stargate, which was another one of those films, TV shows that took the film so much further. Like MASH. The TV show took the movie MASH so much further. The TV show Stargate was really a great show and took the film so much further than it went. And today is also Chelsea Sullenberger III's birthday.
Chelsea Sullenberger III?
American pilot who successfully executed an emergency landing of U.S. Airways Flight 1549 in the Hudson River. Sully.
Would that be Sully?
It's his birthday today. Buddy, I saw that, and I thought that was amazing. When they showed some of the shots of the cameras in New York that caught it, like in the background, you could see it going down and go, and they made a movie out of it. What a true story, directed by Clint Eastwood. What a true story of a hero that, he doesn't even consider himself one, but what a true story of a hero that was. It was good. It's just, I'm like, how are they going to make a movie out of this? Because it was just one little incident. Because it's just going to build up to that at the end. It was a good build up. It kept my interest.
Now, historically, they took some liberties, but it's still a good flick.
Oh, it is. And the crap he had to go through in front of the...
That's part of where the Hollywood ending, he apparently wasn't quite under the microscope.
Girl that works badly, yeah.
But you have to put some tension.
Today is National Handwriting Day. Let's write a couple of notes before we leave today.
I don't even know how to use cursive anymore.
And today is National Pie Day.
3.14?
No.
I thought that happened
just pie, P-I-E, to eat. National Pie Day. Oh. By the way, Mrs. BK made a cheesecake for the very first time this week, and it was perfect. The first time she ever tried, and I was amazed. It's half gone now.
What did you eat?
It's the plate.
Captain America here. I need your help battling the energy wasters, the thermal thief, the wattage waster, and the cold air crook. These insidious villains are probably in your home. Defeat the thermal thief by shutting doors. Waste the wattage waster by turning off unused lights. And cool the cold air crook by shutting the refrigerator door. Saving energy is everyone's business, so keep it up, America.
Next, another interesting story that's in the news.
In the news, the bus of the future goes bust. They were supposed to help carry commuters into the 21st century, but in many big cities, these buses aren't carrying anyone, anywhere. We'll be back with busted buses in the news.
Sponsored by Post Honeycomb, the cereal with the big bite and big taste.
Come to the Honeycomb Hideout.
I'm Big Betty, the blonde bomber, and I want a big cereal.
Honeycomb's big, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not small, no, no, no. Honeycomb's got a big, big bite. Big, big taste in a big, big bite.
Right. A good breakfast featuring Post Honeycomb cereal gives you a
big, big bite.
It tastes right.
Honeycomb bite. It tastes right.
WBHF. Greetings, fellow classic TV fans. Batman the Animated Series ran from 1992 to 95 for a total of 85 episodes. The show, created by Bruce Timm and Eric Radomski for Warner Brothers Animation, won critical acclaim for its complexity, darker vibe, and appeal to all ages. Inspired by Tim Burton's feature films, the superior storylines, mixed with a superior cast, made this a true classic. As a fan of classic TV, I was amazed to find a Who who's who of actors and actresses from that era voicing characters on the show. From McHale's Navy, Bob Hastings played Commissioner Gordon, and Little House on the Prairie's Melissa Gilbert was Batgirl. Adrienne Barbeau from Maude voiced Catwoman, and from the FBI, Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. played Alfred. Night Court's Richard Mole was Two-Face, Michael Ansara voiced Mr. Freeze, and Ed Asner played the character Roland Daggett. Songwriter Paul Williams was the Penguin, and Diana Muldaur voiced Dr. Leslie Tompkins. It had the great Roddy McDowall as the Mad Hatter. Of course, he was the bookworm from the 1960s TV show. Speaking of which, in Season 1, Episode 18, Adam West himself voiced the character of the Gray Ghost. No discussion on Batman, the animated series, would be complete without a mention of Mark Hamill's epic performances as the Joker. Reportedly, Mark drew his influence from Claude Rains' Invisible Man, Paul Rubens' Pee Wee Herman, Jay Leno, and the Chief Blue Meanie in Yellow Submarine. His alluring sidekick Harley Quinn was created specifically for this show, and this successful new character was voiced by actress Arlene Sorkin from Days of Our Lives. With 4 Emmy wins, including Outstanding Animated Program, IGN listed Batman the Animated Series as the best adaptation of The Dark Knight anywhere outside of comics, and the best comic book-inspired TV show of all time. This is Pat McCormick with your Retro TV trivia from the Golden Rage of TV. You can also find me on YouTube and Facebook at Golden Rage of TV and on Twitter at Golden Rage of TV1. And now back to BK on the air.
Previously on Peter Screws the Pooch, I tell you to stay away from this. Instead, you hacked a multi-million-dollar suit so you could sneak around behind my back doing the one thing I told you not to do.
Is everyone okay?
No thanks to you.
No thanks to me? Those weapons were out there and I tried to tell you about it, but you didn't listen. None of this would have happened if you would just listen to me. If you even cared, you'd actually be here.
I did listen, kid. Who do you think called the FBI, huh? Do you know that I was the only one who believed in you? Everyone else said I was crazy to recruit a 14-year-old kid.
I'm 15.
No, this is where you zip it, all right? The adult is talking. What if somebody had died tonight? Different story, right? Because that's on you. And if you died, I feel like that's on me. I don't need that on my conscience.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Sorry doesn't
I understand. I just wanted to be like you.
And I wanted you to be better. Okay, it's not working out. I'm gonna need the suit back.
For how long?
Forever. Yeah, let's have
No,
it.
please, Mr.
Let's have it.
You don't understand. This is all I have. I'm nothing without this suit.
If you're nothing without this suit, then you shouldn't have it. Okay?
Tom Holland there, and
Wow.
Robert Downey Jr. from Spider-Man Homecoming from 2017, which was a great meld of them together. I know that Tony Stark did not build his suit in the comic book, but making that part of the movie continuity fit in perfectly.
It was totally...
I thought it was great. I have a good story here from sci-fi.com. John Weiss wrote, and I didn't know this about Tom Holland, but we all know he was excited about playing Spider-Man. I mean, in his interviews, the way he would give things away and let the cat
I'd be excited now.
Cat out of the bag, spider out of the bag. Okay, he would do that. Oh, yeah, we would have to have at least a few days to calm down. Change pants and underwear and stuff, whatever we need to do.
Honey, gonna need a little more underwear.
Then the whole time we're on the set, we have to wear Depends. You and I, we would have to do that.
I'd like you to meet Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
Need another change.
I need just a moment.
It's like in Iron Man 2. He's like, you want to know how I go to the bathroom in my Iron Man suit? Just like that. He just did.
I'd be like the Alan Grant character seeing the dinosaurs and eventually like, hey, put your head between your knees. Put your head
right.
Like I'm on the set of a Marvel movie. Like,
I'm working. John Weiss from sci-fi.com. Just like Peter Parker after he was bitten by a radioactive spider, Tom Holland apparently doesn't know his own strength when he gets a bit too excited. During a Variety interview with Get Out star Daniel Kaluuya, the British actor recounted his audition process for 2016's Captain America Civil War. Everybody forgets that's the first movie that he was in as Spider-Man, which marked Spider-Man's debut into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. After being called in for screen tests with Robert Downey Jr., who was Iron Man, as we heard there, and Chris Evans, who's Captain America, Holland felt pretty proud of himself, even if it turned out that he didn't land the much-coveted wall-crawling role. Quote, by that point, I had been an amazing enough an experience that if I hadn't got the part, I would have felt like at least I'd achieved something to get to that point, he said. I went out to play golf with my dad. I lost, and I was upset. And I remember going to my phone and checking Instagram, and Marvel had posted a picture of Spider-Man, of the cartoon. And by this point, I kind of assumed I hadn't got it because no one had called me, unquote, he says. Of course, that wasn't the case, and Holland learned about his casting from a news article. Sadly, it came at the expense of his laptop. Quote, I got my computer, and my dog was sitting next to me, he continued. I typed in Marvel. I've still got the article, saved it on my computer. It said, we would like to introduce our new Spider-Man, Tom Holland. I broke my computer because I flipped it up in the air. It fell off my bed. My dog went nuts. I ran downstairs. I was telling my family, I got the part. And obviously, that was right about the time when Sony had got hacked. So my brother Harry, who was quite tech savvy, he says, was like, no, there's no way that's real. They would have called you. They've been hacked. And then the studio called me and gave me the news. It was so bizarre how it happened, unquote, he said. I didn't know any of this. This is why
That's
this is coming
wild.
to light today. The rest is history, as the actor went on to play Peter Parker in Spider-Man Homecoming, Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, and Spider-Man Far From Home. Holland is currently just south of us in Atlanta, Georgia, shooting the third Spider-Man movie, which hopes to swing into theaters, hopefully, December 17th of this year. The actor can be seen in Cherry right now, a dramatic thriller about a young war veteran who develops a drug addiction and starts robbing banks after returning home from combat. It's arriving on, it's not out yet, arriving on Apple TV Friday, March the 12th.
Wow.
The project was helmed by Joe and Anthony Russo, directors of the last two Avengers films. So all these people are still all kind of working together, which is kind of neat.
You know, there's that movie.
That's a great story.
That Chris Hemsworth did where it was called...
The Rescue or something, or Extraction?
Extraction.
Yeah.
That was actually written by, it wasn't directed, but it was written by the Russo brothers.
So they're all kind of in the same circle.
You should check that out on Netflix. The camera work, it's not the great, I mean, it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Right.
But the camera work,
what was the other one in where he was part of the Afghanistan group that went to Afghanistan?
Oh.
What was that one that Chris was in? I saw that on a cruise ship.
First 7 hours, 7 days. It was something like that. Like
I know the one, but it was pretty good. I liked
that
it.
was in.
And it was a true story. I'm like, man, this is a true story because they just declassified it where they could make it into a movie finally. They couldn't do it before then.
Did you ever see 13 Hours, by the way?
I never saw 13 Hours, no.
For all of the grief that what's-his-face gets, I mean, as far as action director from The Rock and...
Are you talking about Jerry Bruckheimer?
No, that was the producer.
Oh, Michael Bay.
Michael Bay.
Right, Michael Bay. Okay.
You should check it out. We rewatched it recently.
Oh, okay. I need to see that,
good.
too.
It's got a few kind of car action-y things, but...
things in it, yeah.
It's so rooted in reality of what happened, and Bay did such a good job trying to be... He goes, I wasn't trying to lay blame.
Right.
I wanted people to feel like what these guys felt like. It is great. You need to check out 13 Hours. I was shocked. I was waiting for it to be Bad Boys Part 12 or whatever, that was going to have these the hero pose, the camera low spinning around. Didn't have any of that, but it was really well done.
But Bruckheimer produced a movie, and Ridley Scott directed one that I actually liked. I actually really did like Black Hawk Down. Was a good movie. It was
great.
I mean, it was a true story.
That was about the Mogadishu.
Yeah, and I'm like, wow, this is true. How in the world did that even happen the way it happened? I mean, that's just the perfect things happen. And the Clint Eastwood movie about Chris Kyle, the sniper.
Sniper is so.
What was it called? It wasn't
Sniper.
called Sniper. Was it? No, was it called Sniper?
American
Sniper.
American Sniper.
Yeah, that was. I knew American Sniper was a good film because when we went to see it in the theater and the movie was over and the credits rolled over his real video of his funeral procession, no one made a sound in the theater and no one moved. No one applauded. Sometimes no applause and silence is the best thing.
It
that
leaves
you
just
because it was
jaw dropped. Yeah,
it was jaw dropped. Speaking on there, we'll be back.
Give it up! Podcast Magazine presents the Hot 50 Countdown.
Hi, it's Rob Actis, host of the podcast magazine Hot 50 Countdown. Join me as I count them down from 50 to number 1, the top 50 podcasts in the land as determined by you, the podcast fans. From true crime, society and culture, self-help, health and fitness, science, and every podcast category in between. The Hot 50 Countdown is here.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Montgomery, with a word to mothers about 2 new cereals from Quaker.
I'm Quake, the earthquake power cereal made with rice.
I'm Quisp, the crazy energy cereal made with corn.
Shh, excuse me. Quaker has reinforced Quisp and Quake with B-complex vitamins and iron. These 2 sweet cereals not only taste good, but they're good for kids, too. All right, fellas, it's all yours.
I love Liz.
I love her more than you do.
Are you troubled by strange noises in the middle of the night?
Do you experience feelings of dread in your basement or attic?
Have you or any of your family ever seen a spook, specter, or ghost? If the answer is yes, then don't wait another minute. Pick up your phone and call the professionals. Go, Ghostbusters! Our courteous and efficient staff is on call 24 hours a day to serve all your supernatural elimination needs.
We're ready to believe you.
Well, it's always great to get corrected off the air. When I take a call, it was Eric calling off the air, correcting me about
Oh, no, it couldn't have been done on air, no. Or via email and recounting that, no.
Wanted Dead or Alive with Rutger Hauer in the original TV show, Steve McQueen. He was related to him, but the weapon that Steve McQueen used on the TV show was more of a rifle. And the old pistols, I guess, that Rutger Hauer used in the movie, he referenced that they were his great-grandfather's or whatever, but he did not use them in the TV show. A small little correction there. What the heck? Rifles, pistols, they both sound the same, right?
They both shoot.
They both shoot bullets. So, yeah, they both shoot rounds. Yeah. Well, this week an actor passed away. We lost Gregory Sierra, died at 83. What? That doesn't ring a bell?
Wait.
Gregory Sierra? Well, he wasn't really a household name unless
was he really, like Puerto Rican?
I think he played.
Well, he's Latino, but
yes, he was. He passed away, and he was 83 years old. It's not really a household name, but I'll let you know who he was exactly. The star, known for his roles on the 70s sitcom Barney Miller and Sanford & Son, Julio on Sanford & Son, he died of cancer on January 4th in Laguna Woods, California, a family spokesperson stated. A native of Spanish Harlem in New York City, worked at the National Shakespeare Company and in the New York Shakespeare Festival, had a parts off-Broadway production early in his career, and a lot of other things. The actor then set his sights on Hollywood and made his first credited appearance in a 1969 episode of It Takes a Thief, followed by a spot on the medical drama Medical Center. He'd also appear on high-profile shows like The Flying Nun, The Bill Cosby Show, All in the Family, and more. He played a guy who was investigating someone who painted a swastika on Archie Bunker's door in All in the Family. He was from the Jewish Defense League, and it was a very dramatic episode. His notable film credits include The Towering Inferno, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, and 1988's John Carpenter's Vampires. In 1972, he came aboard Sanford & Son to play Julio Fuentes, a sidekick to Red Fox's character. Actually, he was a pain-in-the-butt neighbor to Fred, who Fred didn't like. He is credited with appearing in 12 episodes of Sanford & Son. He'd eventually play New York PD Detective Sergeant Miguel Chano on Barney Miller, with a cast that included Hal Linden, Abe Vigoda, James Gregory, Max Gale, and Steve Landsberg, before embarking on a career full of guest spots on iconic shows like Magnum P.I., The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, The X-Files, and Ellen, and even more. Sierra's final on-screen appearance came in 2018's flick The Other Side of the Wind. So Eric Sierra, dead at 83. Yes, he was hilarious on Sanford & Son as Julio.
I always keep him tied up. I'm sorry about that. He must have got loose somehow and got away.
What are you doing with a goat anyway? Wouldn't they say you're a dog? Or is that just a Puerto Rican poodle?
No, I use Chico to keep the place clean, man. He eats up all the garbage,
Oh, yeah? Well, I bet over your place that's a full-time job.
Hey, he's only kidding, Julio. He's only kidding.
I'm not kidding. Next thing you know, he'll have a yard full of chickens.
What's the matter, Mr. Stanford? You got something against chickens?
Not really.
Maybe you got something against goats, huh?
No.
No? Well, then maybe, Mr. Stanford, you got something against Puerto Ricans, huh?
Now you got it.
Oh, okay, come on, Mr. Stanford, tell me. What have you got against Puerto Ricans?
Well, since you asked me, I'll tell you. First thing, when they came here, they brought them cockroaches with them. Puerto Rican cockroaches. And then they brought them rats with them. And now look what you got with you this time. Go.
Well, I'm going to tell you something, Mr. Stanford. I would rather live with a young goat who gives milk than an old goat who gives trouble.
Little Sanford and Son there.
Wow.
He was a good foil for him when he was on. He had moved in and he said that he was on how many episodes? Was it 8 episodes? He was on several episodes of the old show Sanford and Son. And now when I pull out, the same thing happens every time I play a clip from either All in the Family or Sanford and Son or WKRP in Cincinnati or something like that. You and I, we're listening and watching the clips, and even right now, on this date in 2021, we're still laughing our butts off in the studio, listening to the clip or watching the clip of these old shows, because there's a reason for that. They're still funny. They're still relevant. And we love them.
I love whenever you have two characters that are just going at each other and they're both that verbal sparring, I've always liked it. Whether it's Neil Simon, whether it's Red Fox, I mean, you name it. When you have characters that are just able to verbally dance around one another, I love that.
And you mentioned Neil Simon, The Odd Couple. You know, that's talk about it started out as a stage play. And made into a movie, and then a very successful television series.
And how many times has that motif been reenacted in other things?
Called something else.
Right. Or just an homage to that, where you've got the slob and the neat freak, or you've got the two you have the odd couple paired together.
And speaking of the Odd Couple, remember it was a TV show in the 70s, was Jack Klugman and Tony Randall, produced by Penny Marshall's brother.
Gary Marshall?
Gary Marshall, who went on to do Happy Days and Mork and Mindy and all those other shows. Did you know and we were talking about Sanford and Son there, and Lamont in Sanford and Son was played by Damon Wilson. In the 80s, they tried to relaunch The Odd Couple in the early 80s. Remember when you used to get the fall preview TV guide about all the new shows coming out? And you're like, oh, which ones are these are going to make it and which ones are going to flop, you know? Well, The Odd Couple, I think it was 81 or 82, was relaunched on ABC, and it had Ron Glass and Damon Wilson in it as the Odd Couple. And I think Damon Wilson, who played Lamont on Sanford and Son, he was Oscar character. So and I never got to see that version of it, but I hear every now and then it gets rerun on MeTV or something like that, and I bet that would be a good pairing up with it. That sounds like it would have been a good version with those two on there.
On a side note, we talked about Rutger Hauer.
Yeah,
I just happened to look this up because I was trying to see what other movies. Obviously, he was
we miss a really good one?
No.
We weren't thinking of?
He was from, was it Norway or
was it Denmark
or maybe Denmark? He did a lot of movies there.
Finland. I think he's from Finland. I have to look
wherever he's from, where their foreign language, he's speaking in that tongue.
Right.
He has 174 credits to his name,
including foreign films, I guess, too.
I'm like, holy crap! This guy was in everything.
Rutger was born in the Netherlands.
Yes.
So he was Dutch. Exactly.
So he was very active as an actor. He did a lot. Yeah. I'm blown away. I was like, I'm looking at like. And I had forgotten he was in the first Batman Begins. He was one of the senior board members who was trying to figure out how to take the power away from the young Bruce Wayne.
Didn't you get the memo?
Didn't you get the memo?
He really gets his comeuppance at the end, which I thought was great. I'd forgot about he was in. What was he in that I'm thinking of? Oh, wasn't he in the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer with the movie with Christy Swanson?
I don't know.
I think he was in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Yes, he was. 1992. He was the one that was the Van Helsing character, I guess. And it's just another odd role that I completely forgot about him being in. Did you ever see the movie called Flesh and Blood that he was in? I think it was directed by the RoboCop director.
No.
That's another gritty sword movie with swords and stuff like that. He was in this TV show Alias that my wife loved, the J.J. Abrams
That was
movie,
J.J.,
Alias.
yeah.
I'd forgotten he'd been in Smallville, the TV show, later on in his career. He also starred in a movie that HBO did called Fatherland.
The alternate history?
The alternate history movie about what if the Germans had won World War II, or what if America never gotten involved in World War II, what would have happened?
Right.
And it was a chilling movie to watch.
Was it a miniseries or something?
It was a miniseries or just it was an HBO thing. It might have been a two-parter or something like that. But I remember it ended with something like, because he's trying to get, Germany was guarding the secret of the Holocaust very well. They didn't let the news out that they were doing that. And he had proof of it, and he thought if it could only get it to President Kennedy about what they've been doing over here in the early 60s, America could do something about this. And I think he finally gets it to him, and as he gets the evidence to America or something like that, he gets killed in the end or dies or something. It's a weird ending to the film, but it's one of those alternate. It's one of those Marvel what ifs. Mm-hmm. What if this had happened? What if America hadn't entered in World War II? What would have happened? So Rutger Hauer. I mean, we could go on and on about his movies, other movies. What are the other movies that I saw him in?
I was just amazed at the amount
Salem's
of work.
Lot. The Stephen King TNT made Salem's Lot again. Toby Hooper made it on CBS as a miniseries back in '79 or '80. but they remade it, which I think was a little more true to the Stephen King book on TNT in 2004, and he played the main guy protecting the vampire in Salem's Lot. I don't think I enjoyed that one as much because I was just so ingrained in the other one. So yeah, a lot of Rutger Hauer's birthday today, and I don't think I've ever seen one of the older. I haven't seen any of the foreign films, I guess, that he was in that he made. He made a movie with Grindhouse called Hobo with a Shotgun that I hear is pretty like a payback film. I heard that it's really good, and I haven't seen that before. That was one of his later films, but yeah, Rutger Hauer. I heard a rumor about him. I don't know if this is true, but I always heard this story about Rutger Hauer. I heard that they originally, remember the last Roger Moore Bond film called A View to a Kill with Tanya Roberts, who just passed away. About
Did she really?
The bad, yeah, I think she did. The bad guy was named Zorin. He wanted to corner the market, and he wanted to cause a catastrophic earthquake on California and sink California and take over the microchip industry and rake up. Well, I heard that they originally wanted Rutger Hauer to play Zorin, not Christopher Walken. And this is what I heard. I heard Rutger Hauer goes, I will be in a James Bond movie, but I have to play James Bond. And then I guess the Broccolis went, oh, well, thank you. We have Roger Moore. We don't need you. Thank you very much for offering, but we already have James Bond. We'll go with Christopher Walken.
Ironically, he would have been younger than than James Bond.
In '85, I guess he kind of would have, yeah. So, but he would have made I'm sure he would have been a great Zorin bad guy as well in View to a Kill. Roger Moore's View to a Kill gets a lot of hate. His last film, but I thought it was a cool movie to go out on. Fantastic ending, big fight scene on the top of the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco there with the blimp and everything. But it's the only movie that has Tanya Roberts is in it. But I swear there's two dumb Bond girls, her in that film, and Denise Richards in the one Pierce Brosnan one. She's terrible,
horrible.
But
hi,
Tanya Roberts' character in A View to a Kill.
Nuclear physicist.
A blimp sneaks up behind her and picks her up. She doesn't hear it coming up behind her. It drifts down and picks her up with its propellers and everything, and she doesn't even look behind it. They just grab her and take her away. I'm like, how can a blimp sneak up on you on the ground?
Oh, well.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. Alan, we'll see you next week. We're having a good time.
See you.
It's BK on the air. We'll be back.
And that's the end.
BK doesn't know his balls.
I don't.